All right, welcome to another episode of the Critical Introverts Podcast. I'm your host, Senor Filth. We have a bit of a full house roundtable thing going on today. We have my co-host, Benevolent Asshole, but we also have Trevor Brown, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Trevor Brown. I am the editor-in-chief of Acropolis News Network, the world's first fully independent media organization powered by cryptocurrency, liberty platforms, and peer-to-peer advertising. I also accidentally hit my microphone while trying to look cool. I'll make sure not to do that anymore. I feel very demasculated right now, or however you pronounce that, and I write neat things that are behind a paywall, very highly ideological things, and I have a premium podcast over on theacropolisnews.com called the American Gracchus Podcast, where I get to use my very, very, very little training with classical Latin in order to be able to pronounce that one word terribly, and that's kind of how I go about things. It's not a traditional news site, which is why I highly recommend you check it out, and also do a premium subscription, support independent content creators, and yeah.
All right, and we also have Nate Kapnicky, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on the show, and I am. I'm a regular, I guess, in some ways. But you can find my work at cubbyhole.com. That's CUBBYWHOLE.com. And I just put a lot of information on that website and on the Cubbyhole podcast, as well as my new show, Outcasting, Bits of Science Towards Freedom, which is, right in the subtitle, which is what I'm trying to do is help end suffering and help end slavery, two of the same thing. But I work my ass off trying to do that, and it's nice to come on other people's shows like you guys and talk about these things, because I think not enough people are talking about it, and I'm very passionate about spreading information that can help people towards freedom, essentially. So.
Mm-hmm. All right, and I guess today I'll just jump in. I think I'll just explain that I didn't really have that much of an idea as to what I wanted today's episode to be, and then I was just exchanging emails with Nate, and I invited him, and trying to invite him to the show, and he just said, like, is there a specific topic that you wanted to talk about? And about 15 minutes after I saw that email, because I didn't really know how to respond, I just kind of stumbled upon an idea in my head of being authentic and what that means and what it takes, and how rare is it for people to genuinely be pretty authentic. So I guess just jumping in, anyone just wants to, let's just sort of go around and say, what would you guys describe as an authentic person?
Well, I'll go ahead and take the floor. There's a lot to this, and I think that, in the age of, collapse that we're in right now, or any time in history, I think that it is always the authentic people that are standing up the tallest, the people who are the loudest, the people who have done their homework to recognize that, we're not supposed to be here to be ruled by other people. So as we become more honest with ourselves in our approach to, know what's actually taking place in the world and what's taking place in ourselves, I think it's vital to be as honest as we can in our approach to, try to find common ground with everyone else, because we're not always right with the things that we know, but it's about being honest in what we know and how we approach things that I think really gauges our true authenticity. And that authenticity is what brings more of a harmonious balance to our world. It's what, like, even because, when you're sharing truth, people hate the truth. People want to run away from it. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want anything to do with it. It's, it can be very overwhelming and it can be very painful. It's understandable. But the thing is that if we're not honest, if we're not honest in what we're talking about, then it leaves room for error. And error is what causes disharmony and can lead to, these regimes that we find ourselves in all the time, all through history. And it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way in many, many ways. I know I'm going right into the deep stuff because that's what I care about. But that's the point to me in life, is that if we're not being honest, then what are we really doing? Are we just playing around and goofing off and just, we don't want to take life serious? Now, obviously, like, I'm right with you guys. I want to have fun. I want to enjoy a nice, fun talk, and we'll get to that. But I think the truth is we have to put principles first. Because if we don't have principles in line, and we're not being honest in ourselves, with ourselves, we're not being honest with other people, and therefore to play around and joke around. It's like my friends that I know, it's like I love having a good time with them, but some of them, all they want to do is joke and play around while things are bad outside. Now, I want to joke around and have fun too, and I think that it is, I think we've been inverted so much that we want to play first and then get serious. Well, really, we should be serious first, which is principled, right? Just to know, like, hey, we do our work first and then have fun. And that's the way I try to live my life the best I can. Now, obviously, when I was younger, I was the complete opposite. I always wanted to have fun and then get to things, but I didn't know any better. And I think that that's something that we've kind of lost in this country and in this world. And I think that that's what builds authenticity, is to to be honest with yourself, find the truth, and be honest in your approach to how you speak this. And I'm not coming here to try to be preachy. I'm just I look at this as a moment in time that I get to talk about something that I find to be extremely important. And it's like, man, as soon as you told me that we were going to be talking about this today, I was like, oh, that's a really great topic, because I think not enough people are authentic. And, like, when you look at the political spectrum, you see it all over the board that people are not authentic. You see it in the right wing, you see it especially in the left wing. And it's like, it is so frustrating, because, when you're trying to be authentic, when you're being honest, and somebody is not, and they're not using logic, they're not really trying to meet in the middle, it becomes very frustrating. And that's why we have so much friction between us. But it goes to without politics, it goes to the deepest level. It really goes to just being genuine, and even if you're wrong, admitting that you're wrong. Like, I admit that I'm wrong all the time. I had to make a big
admission
the other day, and it was painful, because it was something that I hadn't really been awake to. And I said, you know what, this thing that I said and did, my actions, I recognize that they're wrong, and I admit that, and I'm going to get better. I'm going to find ways to improve myself. So self-improvement really is the key to being authentic.
Yeah,
I think part of it is the fight that we're in. Is not only like information, but it's language, because I think that's the number one thing that is going on right now, and that's why it's difficult for people to be authentic. Because as much as people say, "Oh, I'm authentic," well, how do you define that? Like, if we can't even agree what a woman is, then it's like, how can you be authentic?
Amazing documentary, by the way.
Yeah, like I just saw it recently.
That documentary is so great.
Yes.
On so
Yeah,
many levels.
Fantastic.
I just found a bootleg version of it, so I'm gonna watch it this weekend.
Oh man.
I'd be down to do
Shout out to
I'm
movies
surprised
going
you
on too.
I'd be down to do a review episode if you guys want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Go on.
what's the word? I don't want to say lazy, but we've submitted, or we've been so politically correct, and we've kind of, instead of like just standing our ground and just saying what needs to be said, we've kind of just bowed down to this, to the people, and I guess in the guise of being nice or polite, we've just accepted people's truth, and instead of like searching for the real truth, we've begun to accept, okay, tell me what your truth is. And that's a big problem, is that then if people are going to have different truths, so if we can't all have a set of of facts that we can all agree on, or if we can't all agree on what the meaning of words are, then what's the point? Like, if we're never going to be able to agree on things.
Yeah, it makes it impossible for conversation when language is always being kind of shifted around, and the meaning of words are always being changed. Like two different languages are
it's like people are
going
on
against each other.
Different planets. Like, you're talking to a wall. If you think that a woman is this, and then another person thinks that a woman is this, like, how can you even apply principle to anything if you can't even agree on the meaning of words? You're already starting off on the wrong footing.
I also think it's an attempt to overcomplicate things. When you overcomplicate just the meaning of a woman, I mean, it's like
A woman is anyone who defines themselves as a woman. And a woman is anyone who defines themselves as a woman.
Yeah, it's like these crazy
Like
pseudo intellects that just will talk in circles and make up all these words, or try and make meaning of things that don't even exist, to kind of justify their own insecurities. And just
yeah, it feels like having the world run by that annoying weird art teacher that you had in high school or something like that. Like, it just would talk nonsense.
Even just like a little kid, just letting
No. It's like having the world run by the hall monitor. I hate those guys. I was a rule follower too. I hated the hall monitor so much.
I guess you wanted to.
I was apparently walking too fast in the hallway. I will never forget that.
Oh, crap, I can't. I guess, Trevor, you wanted to say what you think authentic means.
In all seriousness, this is something I think I'll be talking about in part 3 of my aesthetic series, maybe part 2. I'm not entirely sure, but it's about. I'm going to be going into either in part 2 or part 3 about vague concepts. And one of the things with vague concepts is with humans, I don't know the science of it, and to be honest, I don't care about the science of it. There's when it comes to vague concepts, I think humans have this tendency, or at least English speakers, because I don't know if people who speak Spanish or German or whatever do this, but from my experience, I guess it would seem, not to get too postmodern right there, but in my experience, it would seem that people conflate the utility when it comes to concepts, vague concepts and definitions. So I think that when we go into authentic person, I think what happens is what we keep doing is we keep trying to map a series of adjectives as part of the aesthetic of what makes a person engage in authenticity. I guess. I hope I'm not dancing over my words too much, but it just seems to be something that I don't know how to work.
Uh-oh. I think you got
what you essentially have to do is you have to one of your streams is having connection issues. Okay, whatever. That box is weird. But anyway, it seems to be what you have to do is first you have to define what constitutes personhood, and a lot of people have some very spicy ideas about that. And then you have to define what authenticity is. But the problem is when you put authenticity in place of human, like place that right next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like for instance, like you can tell that's a piano. That is authentically a piano. It's not a grand piano because it doesn't have all the characteristics of a grand piano. But like we can like go through the motions of it. This is an electric piano that is designed to simulate the sound of a grand piano.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, this is a microphone. I know this is a microphone because it has all the intrinsic characteristics of a microphone. It is authentically a microphone.
Mm-hmm.
But the trap, I guess, when you go into authentic person is kind of what I hoped I laid out without dancing over my words too much.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's probably better not to define it as what it is, but define it as what it's not. And I don't think that can be done rationally. I think it's just kind of intuitive. You have to just know when you see it. Like when people were putting black squares on their Instagram, right? That's not an authentic thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Only someone who would adhere to orthodoxy, not for the virtues of the orthodoxy, but for the sake of orthodoxy, would engage in that behavior. People who I would say I don't have a problem with this because I'm not a Christian, but people who have crosses around their neck but aren't Christians, like when atheists have cross earrings. You know, it's like, okay, as an athist, you believe that the cross is a symbol of torture. Why are you doing that? Isn't that a bit weird? Wouldn't that by your own definition violate the dress code of the campus that you're attending? You know, but there are things like that you can go to, but it still creates a trap because then we're not defining the word.
I think Martin Luther King had like a quote like that. I'd have to look it up. It had something to do with like doing good even when people are not looking. Maybe I'll look it up, but you can keep talking.
Yeah. So we're going to get all the characteristics of the aesthetics of what makes an authentic person just by talking this out. But this doesn't stop someone from watching this and then making a reaction video to it, which by the way I hope happens because it's good for traffic for all of us. So please take issue with everything we're about to say. I would greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, but, like the Young Turks do a video on us or something like that.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Yeah, that would be like that would that would elevate my intelligence so much. That would give me I would have an unrivaled ego.
Yeah,
the Young Turks decided to do that. It's like, man, I must be really smart, you know. But so we'll end up getting into the aesthetics of it, but I think we can kind of boil down the aesthetics to I guess people who don't engage in pseudo benevolence. I think would be a pretty would take all the honesty characteristics that we're trying to get to for what makes the aesthetic of an authentic person. I think it would be you can actively categorize it as anti-pseudo benevolence.
Right. I guess let me just add what I would define as an authentic person. It's not as long as your guys's.
I'm sorry.
But I would just say just someone who truly knows who they are. As far as the things they are into, the things they like, the things they don't like, their flaws, the things they want to get better at, the things they know that they can't reach, but they'll still, go towards those things, whether it be health or whatever like that. I think that's what I could define as just someone who's genuinely authentic.
Yeah, walking the walk.
Yeah. Like someone who's confident in who they are and who they're not. You know what I mean?
Integrity.
Yep. Yeah, I really like what both of you are saying. I also would say that anyone who is doing evil things in this world is authentic. In the sense that, if they are very straightforward in what they're doing, and that's what they want to do, and they're honest about it, they're out in the open about it, then they're authentic too. So authenticity goes, in being good or being evil, and I think that's something we definitely should pay attention to and recognize as well.
Yeah,
for sure.
So far we have integrity, anti-pseudo benevolence, and can be either immoral or moral.
Yeah.
But does that mean that they that an authentic person can't be amoral, as in a non-moral agent?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, like I just said, I think that, if you're being a non-moral agent, and you know that what you're doing is wrong.
No. As in you don't you don't think that what you're doing is either moral or immoral. Like it's morally neutral. Yeah.
Isn't it like
You mean like they?
Yeah, I don't believe in the concept either, but there are other people who do.
You mean like someone who? You mean like someone who's doing something bad but doesn't realize they're doing something bad, or?
Yeah, somebody that looks at things like so objectively cold.
Bad for a good reason.
Doing something bad for a good reason.
Yeah, that's not the perfect situation of something that is truly non-moral, like not immoral, like not a lot of people define. And to be fair, this is how I define it because this is how it exists, but there are other people who define it differently. Morality is the thing that is good, and immorality is the thing that is the evil. And to be fair, I'm fully on that side. I recognize that even as an atheist. But there is a concept of amorality, as in not taking morality into account. Like you're not evil, you're not good. You just kind of go about your merry way.
Well, I mean, that just to me, that's just ignorance. It's just someone who's living in ignorance, which is most people. Most people don't understand the difference between right and wrong. They don't understand morality or immorality, and therefore they're living in ignorance. And just because you're living in ignorance and you don't understand, and especially in the age of information, then you're living willfully able to do something that can cause harm. See, the thing is that I think most people have a moral compass. We all have a moral compass built into us, but not all of us are connected to that
or pay attention to it.
Yeah, we don't pay attention to it. We willfully ignore it because the thing is that once we understand and recognize the harmful actions that cause harm to other beings, well, then if we recognize that, then if we choose to do something that can either cause harm or support the harming of others, then we're just willfully ignoring the truth of morality. We're willfully ignoring morality, period. And so it's a tricky place to say that somebody is completely I'll say that most people are completely ignorant of the understanding of morality, but at a very deep level, people know. They know deep down that raping a little child is wrong. But
your theorists have entered the chat.
What did you say?
Oh, there's there's this thing called queer theory. It's like critical race theory, but for homosexuals.
Oh yeah.
And they write books like Towards a Queer Communism and a bunch of other nonsense, and they believe that children are inherently sexual and a bunch of other
Oh
nonsense.
yeah, I know. It's very disturbing.
Creepy. Yeah.
And but I'm just trying. I'm not saying that I completely understand what you were saying, Trevor. But I'm following you. It's just I'm trying to make sense of it. And
to be fair, I don't think, like I said, I don't think it's the case. Like I wasn't like this before. I used to believe that everyone was morally neutral, and that all moral and that all moral systems and moral frameworks were kind of equal. But then I kind of read the sort of the stuff where this comes from, a lot of the sort of like Enlightenment kind of thing, and I'm like, I don't like this. Like I'm thankful for like human rights and like life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, and things like that. But I'm just kind of at this point where like only Locke is like remotely reasonable, like kind of thing with the entire Enlightenment. But that's kind of a whole different topic.
Who's
like John Locke.
Oh, John Locke. Okay, because I was thinking Jeremy Locke.
But
Ending All Evil. It's an amazing book.
Yeah, but like since I became an adult, and like I actually like sort of came into things, I kind of realized I was an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
And I was an idiot because I was hyper rational.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of why I was an idiot. There's this thing in the 11th grade that I regret so much. There was this debate that the English teacher set up, and he wanted 2 volunteers to debate the merits of cloning, like humans.
Yeah.
Like human cloning. And it was me and a friend of mine that ended up volunteering because we were the only ones who liked to talk in the class, basically. And so I had the big brain, the badum idea of trying to debunk the concept of morality in real time. And that is one of my biggest regrets. So that was an idiot move on my part. It was very smart of me for like at that age to be able to do that, but that's kind of a prime example of how being intelligent, like being incredibly not incredibly, but like being I don't know what I'm saying, but it's like it's an example of intelligence is stupidity a lot of the time, and it's almost indistinguishable a lot of the time.
How I arrived at understanding natural law or moral law or morality was by trying to debunk it. I did everything in my power because I didn't want there to be any truth to, right or wrong. I didn't want there to be an actual objective difference. But it was probably the most thorough thing that I ever invested my time into, because I didn't want to be responsible for my actions. And then when I realized, oh wait, I am responsible for my actions, because who else would be? Then I started to really understand the science behind it, and then I see why a lot of religions actually hold a little bit of that knowledge. But the thing is, with religion comes, the belief in authority, and that's something that I do not, ascribe to.
Well, you're too enlightened, which prevents more human tendencies. Is what some people say, included.
I'll take that with a badge of honor then, because I'd rather be too enlightened and understand that than live in a place of darkness that where I can't be in charge of the actions that I take in this world. You know what I mean? But Yeah, it's a very I think it's that was the biggest. I mean, if you want to talk about awakenings, that was my biggest awakening, is recognizing that. And I've had quite a few awakenings. I don't consider myself like a enlightened being. I have some.
No, I'm like I took the enlightenment and I did that just to be.
No, I know you're kidding, but I'm just saying, like, I'm making it clear that enlightenment, that's a thing, that's a big topic, because I think so many people consider themselves enlightened and they're far from it. And but who really is enlightened? It's just we become enlightened in our little baby steps that we take, and or big leaps that we take, and we have our awakenings, and that's our little enlightenment moment. But yeah, I know you're joking, man. I was just it's just like it's a big topic that I see a lot of people having a lot of trouble with.
That's why I don't tell anybody when my articles are going to come out, because I have to dive into the Enlightenment as part of my critical race theory series, and like their the faulty assumptions with it, and it's a really big thing. It's like trying to take on Danny Phantom, like at the end of the series, with like a stick. It's just not possible.
Yeah.
Man, I've heard people say that, like, I'm from this like woke mob that say they're enlightened, and it's like
they are definitely a product of the Enlightenment. They are definitely trying to bring about the supremacy of reason. They're definitely trying to do that. Yeah. That's what a call for fairness is. From my interpretation of it, at least.
I would say that it's. Oh, go ahead.
I would say, like, what would you guys think is like what are the people that consider themselves woke? Like, how do I put this? What do you think makes them think that they're so enlightened when usually they're very far from it, or they think that they're so unique and stuff like that, but they're very much far from being like individuals. Like, they're very, we said before, like, they're very culty, but
well, it's because they view humans and history kind of like a skill tree, or like a progress map on civilization. More accurately, they believe that all change is progress, and that as society progresses to something that is better, it moves further left. And they've arrived to this position through a loose collection of things that honestly don't go very well together until they sort of do this. This is why I kind of call it a wokeness, a secular Catholicism, because it seems like they've taken Marx and Herbert Marcuse's repressive tolerance. They've taken some Rousseau. They've taken a lot of critical race theory and queer theory, and they've taken the aspects of it that they like and put it all into a teleology, or what we could call the secular Bible of wokeness. It's why they also refer to their politics as a form of spiritual enlightenment. Like, I see racism, I see sexism, kind of thing, is because it is a secular Catholicism. They are universalist to the point where they can't comprehend anything in particular. Right. It's why in that Matt Walsh documentary, What is a Woman? It's why that soy boy was like shriveling up, was like, what do you mean truth? I don't like that word truth. It's transphobic when you say truth. God, please don't say truth. And not quite like that, but And it's also why that lady on the street, when Matt Walsh is like, okay, but what if it was my truth that you don't exist, right? That's obviously not the case. They're having a conversation. Like neither I didn't think either of them were crazy up until the woman was like, well, if you think I don't exist, then I guess I don't exist, And it's weird because in other woke with other woke teleologies, like with an intersectional theorist, which is a part of critical race theory, would call that the white supremacist heteropatriarchy, when a woman just gives up her a woman of color gives up her agency to a white man, basically, like in other woke circles it would be considered that.
Right.
So that's why I call it a secular Catholicism, because at the end of the day, it's kind of the Catholics' fault for all of this, because the word Catholic, or whatever, my Latin is terrible, it basically means something along the lines of like the word or something like that, and it's like it's the book, right? The Bible, right?
Yeah.
The book. Like this was always gonna come about. The second the Protestant Reformation happened was the second the Enlightenment started, and it was through Enlightenment principles, particularly the post-Enlightenment principles, that ended up creating the inevitability of wokeness. At least that's from my interpretation of all it, I guess.
I guess to go into the subject of, religion, do you guys think like the lack of religion or any kind of moral agreement has kind of led to this sort of lack of authenticity in people?
Well, the U.S. has never had any kind of moral agreement. We've always had a bunch of different religions in the United States, but what we had before was people left each other alone. Like even during the Civil War, people left each other alone more than what we have right now. Like I'm watching what's going on with the churches right now, like as an atheist, where I'm seeing secular Catholicism colonize its way through all the churches.
Yeah,
where they're literally separating Christ with the son of perdition. If you're a Christian, there is an argument for that, which I highly encourage all Christians make, by the way. Decolonize your own institutions for Christ's sake. I was being very literal. I wasn't using Christ as a pejorative. I'm just watching this, and I'm like, is there really no stopping this? Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Senor Filth, I just sent you the documentary. It's on Odyssey. I sent it to your email.
The What Is a Woman?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, cool.
So
thanks.
You can also go to moviesjoy.to, not sponsored or anything. Also, I don't watch moviesjoy.to. I've never pirated anything in my life and all the other legal stuff or whatever.
I mean, I'd be, like I said, I'd be down to do like just a review episode. What you guys think after I see it? I guess we can talk about that later. I guess, do you guys think it genuinely takes courage for someone to be authentic?
Yeah, of course. I would say that courage is the very thing that drives us to be authentic in the face of mob rule, which is democracy. So I would say that, to be able to be yourself in front of people who have, immoral values or no values at all, I would say that that's courage it's the thing that I know just by experience that it has taken so much courage for me to stand up and actually speak out and say things that I know to be true, or just being honest, whether I know it to be true or not, just being honest about what I understand or what I know. And I would say that without courage, what's the opposite of courage? It's being a coward. It's that's why I really love the Wizard of Oz, because it's the aspects of consciousness with the cowardly lion as to try to find. He's trying to find his courage, but it's like it's a part of consciousness of us, and that's we're on our journey, and if we don't have courage to step up and speak up on what truly matters, then we're not going to find our authenticity, and we're going to stay cowardly and have our tail between our legs and walk right into the fire.
Do you think like this age of like super convenience has sort of like bred that cowardliness?
Yes.
If you think of like everything super convenient, like movies, you could you just send me that movie. I don't need to really search
Societies and technology and science, all of our developments and advancements were more worthwhile and better for humans and improved people's lives at a more significant rate when it was more difficult to see boobs. It's just true.
Yeah, I agree for sure.
Yeah, I remember the early days of internet. Like, it was kind of hard to find porn. Like,
yep.
Even if you found a porn site, it was hard to find free shit. You had to like get around it, but now it's just
had to suffer.
Now it's just Google tits or something, and boom, you got like hardcore anal shit.
Infinity.
So,
infinity.
Yeah, it's weird how convenient things are and like how lazy it's gotten everyone. Like, I just never realized, like, you think of like Netflix and all that shit, and when's the last time any of you guys like have bought in a movie? Something like that. You know what I mean? Like, legitimately went to a store.
Still?
I mean, I still go to the theater, like with family and friends or whatever.
I mean, like a movie to keep, you know what I mean? Like, you bought a DVD or a Bluray or some shit.
Physical media is forever by Laserdisc.
I guess. Fuck. What was my next question? Here's one. I was genuinely surprised. I think like everything started coming to a head when like COVID happened. I think for a lot of people, and I was genuinely surprised at like how easily people folded and just went with the crowd. I thought
I folded too.
Yeah.
Like for the first like month, I was just like, okay, I'll take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And then it got you put your things on YouTube, so I won't say anything correct. But that's kind of what happened.
But just like trying to have a conversation with people, like, don't you think this is just weird and not adding up? Like, I would get so much like weird pushback, and it was genuinely surprising that like I felt like I was the only one like having these curiosities.
They're building concentration camps in other countries. You're a far right, racist, sexist, homophobic, alt-right, neo-Nazi, maggot, fascist bigot. It's like, you know, that's what it is.
Nailed it. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to say neo-Nazi after Nazi. My
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, so the problem is the overabundance of information. It's kind of like a curse because
Yeah.
people have all this information thinking that, okay, well, if this information is here, it must be true, instead of actually taking the time to like sort through it and try to actually really think for themselves. And what's the other thing I was going to say? Yeah, and it goes back to principles too. If you don't have any principles and you're shoved all this information, then it's like, how are you going to process all this information if you have no principles? You're just going to do whatever they told you to do.
Exactly. That's it. That's the thing. Like, people do not have value. Most people do not have values. And most people don't even understand what a principle means. And and I'm not saying that to be condescending. I'm not saying that to sound mean.
Though you would be totally justified in doing so.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's just we've been conditioned this way, but the problem is that we live in the age of information, and I don't consider myself a conspiracy theorist, but I respect conspiracy theorists more than I do those who are not curious. Because at the very least, I can actually have a dialogue with someone who's a conspiracy theorist who actually recognizes, like, okay, shit's really off here. There really is something wrong going on. I don't really understand it, but I can see it. And I just, and most of them do not know how to explain what they're seeing because they haven't gone far enough in their research. They haven't. They don't have an understanding of mind control. They don't understand the world of the occult, and that's just reality. But it doesn't have to stay that way. And that's why having these conversations. We can only hope that it inspires people to want to go do what is necessary to awaken this the aggregate of in consciousness. Because it's like, well, if we don't do that, then what are we going to do? I mean, I can, like, some people. This is something that. Do you guys know what solipsism is?
Can you pronounce that?
Say it again.
Solipsism.
Solipsism?
Sounds familiar. I'm not gonna lie.
So solipsism is the belief that only your mind and everything that's happening to you is only for you, and it's happening because you're the one who's, like, this whole universe is just revolving around your mind, and your mind is the universe only. Like, no one else really exists. It's just your interpretation of your, like, everybody's just a reflection of you, and you can do whatever you want because this is your universe. And there's no rules. And
like postmodernism, but with a god complex layered onto it.
Right. And
sounds awful.
Right. And this is something that anyone can fall victim to, and a lot of people do, because they think that everything that whatever they do, that people really aren't real, but only they are just having this experience. And basically their mind is the only thing that actually exists that they can verify. And the thing is, a lot of people really are this way, because it's especially in the New Age movement, where it's like, all I got to do is just pay attention to the positive things in life, and sing Kumbaya, and everything will be great, and I won't attract anything negative into my life. But see, it's a very dangerous ideology to fall into, and a lot of people are victims of this. And I wouldn't say victims. They just are this way because they're ignorant, or to some degree nescient. because, but the thing is that the information is available. So if the information is available to recognize, who we are and try to, make sense of what's going on between our ears, then we can actually start to recognize, okay, we're here having an experience with other beings, and this isn't just for us or individually, and even the individual, and this is something, so this tends to happen when people are more in a right-brained imbalance. And then you also get people who fall victim in a left-brain imbalance as well in this mindset, because it's like you fall victim to being just the individual and everything revolves around you. And it's kind of the same concept. And then it's like, well, forgetting that you are part of a collective as well. And see, that's why we divide ourselves from here into an individualist state or a collectivist state. And that's why we choose one side or the other instead of recognizing they're both together as one. And once we see that, once we understand that, then we get away from this solipsistic mindset and recognize, like, oh shit, okay, my mind isn't the only mind here. And that it's about understanding that I have we are, bits of mind, like a fragment of, like we're fragments of minds in a, enormous universal mind. And that's something that you can learn through Hermeticism, which I highly recommend if you guys have not looked into that, because Hermeticism is about understanding the principles that help us recognize how the mind actually operates to see, to understand correspondences and understand the nature of this, what is actually happening, like I said, between our two ears. And I'm not saying the mind is only, subjected to the brain and the skull. I'm saying, it's just that's what we associate the mind with. But I look at the mind as the whole, and I look at the mind as more than just the brain. Because it's like, obviously when you cut open a brain, it's like, where do you find the mind? You can't find the mind. But the point is that when we understand these dialectics that we fall into, we fall victim to this solipsism. And if we go too far of an imbalance in one area of our mind or the other. And I think that's something to be very, conscious about, or aware about, because then that way we can, look in ourselves and we can see other people that have fallen into this ideology. It's a very dangerous ideology, because it's like, people living without values and principles, just doing whatever they want, because, like, this is my mind that I'm playing. Which I think
so.
Really,
from what I gathered from what you're saying, the journalists on corporate press articles and on the TVs, the telly screens, as it were, when they call people conspiracy theorists, they're being retarded.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. We're on the same page. I keep touching my microphone. Jesus, hang on.
Well, what I was going to bring up, I wanted to, I think this would kind of maybe get people, or maybe kind of plug into what Nate was saying. Because I brought this up, I think last time, or one of the last episodes, but we really get to see what you guys thought about it. But it's from a book, but it's talking about there's a big difference between the worship and study of knowledge and science and technology. So if you read the whole thing, it's from Behold a Pale Horse. It talks about the mystery is that religion is but a tool to control the masses.
Right. Yep.
Knowledge or wisdom is their only God, through which man himself will become this God. The snake and the dragon are both symbols of wisdom Lucifer is the personification of the symbol. It was Lucifer who tempted Eve to entice Adam to eat of the tree of knowledge and thus free man from the bonds of ignorance. And then this is where it goes into the worship, and then in parentheses, a lot different from study of knowledge, science, or technology is Satanism in its purest form. And God is Lucifer, its secret symbol is the all-seeing eye in the pyramid. So it's just like reinforcing a lot of people tend, like, whatever ideology that they have, it's a lack of principle, and then therefore people are worshiping the science, the technology, the knowledge that news and the media is putting out there instead of actually studying it and essentially finding out whether it's bullshit or not. And that's where the critical mind has to come into view. But the problem is that people are manipulated through their emotions. That's when they're the most pliable and most vulnerable to be manipulated. And I think that's how they get them to worship science and technology and the knowledge that they're putting out there as gospel, instead of actually studying it and seeing, okay, is this true? Is this fact? Is this grounded on reality?
Right.
What you and Nate seem to be talking about is something I've noticed by the people who walk around in the store with 17 masks on. And
it's actually 16 masks. 17 is just crazy, you know.
17 is anti-science.
Yeah,
I trust science because science is sound or whatever. But it also seems to be that the people who say I trust the science because the science is sound, like even when you've trusted the science and the scientists that you trust are wrong over and over and over again, it seems to be that what they're doing is the people who are engaging in that tend to view science the way you put it in that quote. With that quote, BA, where they seem to. I'm not going to say your name. Your name is a no word, but then it seems to be that they think that the scientific method can be used to solve moral problems.
Yeah, exactly.
And that when people aren't following the science the way they follow the science, I'm going to draw on Michael Oakeshott a little bit and call them rationalists. That it seems that the moral impetus is on you. Basically, you didn't follow the science. You didn't weld your door shut. You didn't put on 17 masks. You didn't
take a hand sanitizer shower or something like that.
Yeah.
You didn't bathe in liquid nitrogen and hydrogen peroxide.
This is building up for like.
Where's your Fauci candle?
Yeah.
Like, actually, Michael,
why don't you have 3 masks on that cross?
Yeah.
It's.
Michael Crichton was one of the first people to actually point this out, because he was way back in the I don't remember, like maybe 10, 20 years ago. He was talking about, or he was comparing environmentalism. You know, like how that was like popular back in the day when you're like a little kid, like, oh yeah, protect the planet.
Oh yeah, back in the day.
But he was comparing environmentalism to a religion, and he was comparing it to religion because it shouldn't be a religion. It should be something that should.
Greta Thunberg has just entered the chat.
And it's funny because like he's talking about this in front of like it might have been high school students, but I thought it was either high school students or college students.
Yeah, I think he shared the video with me.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
It's funny because like
I've only read his rationalism in politics.
But the kids are like, what made you so bigoted or so biased about this religion? Like, it's like, well, I don't think it should be a religion. I don't think environmentalism, whatever they were calling it back then. And it's like about the same time with global warming.
Yeah.
And then it became global cooling.
Yeah.
and then it became temperature irregularities.
Yeah.
And then it became global cooling again, and then it became climate change, and then it became global warming again, and then it became global cooling, and then it became climate change again. And it hasn't changed since then, but it will, because we need more doomsday prophecies.
No goalpost, man.
Yeah.
Constantly
Pushing it back. Keep pushing it back.
But I wanted to say, I liked what you said about science and morality, how they put science above morality. And that's the thing is that...
No, they use science as morality. More
well, yeah,
specifically.
exactly, which is putting it above it, because the thing is that let's just say, modern science, because like I would never say that, or I would never mean that morality supersedes science, because the science of morality itself is understanding morality. So, but the point is this the science that we all collectively believe and trust. This science does not supersede morality, and that's the conversation that nobody wants to have who trust the science. And that's a big problem, because obviously they negate morality because it's all about the greater good. And it's like, okay, well, how are you going to have the greater good without morality? It doesn't make any sense at all.
Progress.
Right.
Progress is progress is progress, 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 and progress is progress. Progress, love is 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 love. Trans women are women, trans women are women, trans women are women, trans women are women.
Yeah.
And that's what the conversation is.
Definition.
That's
You can't have a conversation with
how progressive of you to say that, though. Congratulations.
I know, right? I stand with corrupt oligarchy that's next to militarized snow desert. I stand with him. I stand with him. There's no such thing as the Azov Battalion, and even if there is such a thing as the Azov Battalion, they're former Nazis now, and they were never Nazis to begin with. Also, the black sun isn't a neo-Nazi symbol. Also, it is a neo-Nazi symbol that the Azov Battalion is about. But it's okay, because they disavowed it, because they're former Nazis.
It's funny. I see the mask as is it the Mormons? I think that they wear a special underwear to like protect
on their
them.
face.
I think like Mormons. I think they actually wear like a special type of underwear for some kind of like safety from whatever the sin is. And I mean,
you talking about this like white spandex?
Yeah, something like that. I think it's Mormons. I'm not sure, but yeah, isn't that kind of like why people wear the mask? Like a similar reason, like it's just a piece of cloth that they believe.
I look at it like the Muslim women who wear the
burqa or whatever.
Burqa, and we're going to probably be taken down for me saying that, but it's the same thing.
Women in the Middle East wear burqas because it's a theocratic dictatorship. YouTube, it's not racism. It's no more racisms than Christianity being a race that you could do racisms towards. Also, Pope bad, me no like Pope bad, Pope suck. Not gonna take you down over that. Okay,
I never imagined people embracing these stupid masks from the very beginning. Like I thought the same thing too. It's like why were we gonna oppress ourselves? We're like in the United States. But I guess I was wrong.
Yep.
Well, oppression has to exist. So as long as people are oppressing themselves, then we can have careers for critical race theorists. So it's basically
people love their socialism.
They really do. It's weird.
It's they love their chains more than anything.
A lot of them might be
comfortable.
These rationalists might be for open markets, but because they're so scientific, they're committed to the supremacy of reason. So they're more socialist than Karl Marx in a lot of ways, even though they're capitalists. So never thought I'd say that out loud. but it's true.
Can you find an article anywhere of like saying Karl Marx?
It's kind of like the art of bullshit. I think
saying Karl Marx
because
is what?
when you don't have like any principles, like that's why some of these people get like so intellectually pseudo because they started just talking out of their ass because they're trying to justify all these things, all these like immoral things by saying all these big words or scientific words or things that they're just pulling things out of their other end.
Yeah,
you're like, what the hell are they like? What the hell are you
we live in an age where people think that fixing a problem means saying something that makes you feel good, and then going about your day on Facebook or Twitter or some shit like that, and
creating a problem.
No, you also have to do the things that make people feel good. That doesn't actually help while you're relaxing on Twitter and Instagram. You have to do that too. Otherwise, you're otherwise you don't actually see racism and stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
What did you say about pulling up an article?
I was saying, like, if you can find an article somewhere about, like, you know, Karl Marx was actually a right-wing Republican or something like that.
Doubtless. Let me go to salon.com.
There's gotta be something like that.
Yeah.
I guess another question I was thinking, like, what do you guys think it makes being the opposite of being authentic, like, so attractive to people? Because growing up, I was always kind of like an individualist type of person growing up, and the thought of being the other way just was never attractive to me. Like, I never wanted to just listen to the same music that everyone was listening to in the movies. Like, I wanted to, you know, find things that were different as like a trophy, like, oh, I found something, oh, you guys want to... I never understood why it's attractive to be that way.
Because not everyone wants to be a rebel. That's what makes the rebel as an archetype and something that has value, as something that is a separate person for people who aren't rebels. Because I was always a rule follower, you know? And I was a rule follower up until the rule was I am intrinsically evil because I'm born wrong. Because I have the incorrect pair of genitals in between my legs, because I have the incorrect skin color, because I have the incorrect thoughts. You know, that's when I stopped caring about the rules so much. You know, when that's basically what it is. I was a rule follower up until the rules made it impossible for me to be someone worthy of consideration simply because I exist incorrectly.
Yeah.
You know, that's what made me a rebel, kind of thing. That's what made me start questioning things, and I was being treated like a second-class citizen by my own peers for being born wrong. You know, I got a little sick of that. For some mysterious reason, that just made me not like them too much. That made me not like the things that they believe too much. You know, that's what it is for me.
I don't know. Like, it just sometimes feels like people are afraid to be interesting, I guess is the best way to put it.
I mean, it's just so much easier to go with the flow, and people love the easy route in life when you don't have any value, if you don't have any principles. It's just this, what's it called? The ideology of, oh my God, why is it not coming to me? Well, I can't
what are the
think.
characteristics of the ideology?
Well, basically, just, you know, live every day as if it's your last, and just have fun.
Hedonism?
Huh?
Hedonism?
Nihilism.
Okay.
Yeah, nihilism. And, you know, or hedonism. Hedonism really is the real one, because nihilism is just...
Nihilism is hedonism, but emo.
yeah. Well, I mean, I would say hedonism is even worse, because it's about just like, I don't give a fuck about anything, and therefore I'm going to have fun and only think about myself and do as I please without any consequences. I don't care what happens to me. To where
Rationalists care about slitting the wrists. You know?
Is it?
Say it again.
At
Say
least
it
Rationalists care about slitting the wrists.
Yeah.
He would just do it because he doesn't care.
Yeah, because it's fun, I guess.
Because it
But
doesn't matter whether
Right.
his wrist is slit or not.
right.
The grand scheme of things, from the perspective of the universe, this thing isn't very bad.
Yeah.
I'll become soil. It's fine.
I know so many people that are hedonists, and it's really sad to see that. But at the same time, it's like, I mean, that's what this world has kind of created, because we don't teach the children about values. We don't teach them about morality. We don't teach them about principles. And therefore, why not just have fun? Because you don't know any
Didn't
better.
do that until Rockefeller started interfering with the education system. Funny enough, until we started having universal education paid for by the government. Very, very mysteriously, the standards dropped when it was being government funded. Very mysteriously. It's almost as if there's some kind of rule with that or something. I don't know.
Conspiracy theorist. That's what that sounds like.
Economist.
I guess we can kind of start winding it down. We've kind of gone over an hour. I guess if anyone has like any final thoughts, I guess.
Yeah. In solution, don't be so big brain you sound dumb and stuff.
I agree.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah.
And don't be a jerk and lie.
The end.
So much money as a pastor. I hardly have to do anything too.
I guess for me, just last thing is just try to be as honest and humble as you can, and it truly takes balls to just be as humble as you can and admit, like, the things you know and you don't know, and the things you know but up to a certain point. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I guess that's my final words. I guess let's just go around. Trevor, if you want to just plug anything, Trevor.
Yeah, sure. You can go to theacropolisnews.com, the world's first fully independent media organization powered by Liberty Platforms, peer-to-peer advertising, and cryptocurrency, and subscribe to a premium membership on the website, because pretty pleased with the cherry on top. It would really help me out a lot. And the best part about a premium membership is that the longer you have it, the more it's worth. So keep it forever. I would greatly appreciate it, and help me out, and help. I'm trying to bring about what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bring about a renaissance on the Enlightenment. So the more money you support with it, the faster I can get this done. So I greatly appreciate it, because my brain hurts every night, and I want to sleep.
All right, Nate, you want to plug anything, Nate?
Yeah, so I kind of said this in the beginning, but you can find my work if you're trying to understand the world of the occult or consciousness, or the mystery traditions, or mind control, or natural law. Any of those things, if they spark your interest and you really deeply want to invest your time, you can go to cubbyhole.com. That's CUBBYWHOLE.com. And, start at podcast number 1, work your way forward, so that way you get the maximum value. And also, I started a new video cast called Outcasting, where I'm just kind of making 5 to 20-minute shows, very short. You can find it on YouTube or Rumble, but you can find all that information under my name, Nate Outcasting, at cubbyhole.com. And I really appreciate you having me on. And I thought this was a very great topic that we got to talk about. And I just want to say that I agree. Just try to be as honest with yourself as possible, and therefore you'll be more honest with other people, because how can we expect to be honest with other people if we can't be honest with ourselves and be more authentic, and be humble, and admit when you're wrong. The 3 hardest words to tell ourselves is "I was wrong." It's a hard thing to say, and I've said it a million times. I'm pretty sure, exactly a million. But so that's what I have to say, and I really thought this was a great conversation. So thank you.
All right, Benevolent, you want to end with anything?
Maybe just kind of echo the same thing what Nate was saying. Just don't be afraid to admit when you're wrong. I think all of us, we're just trying to figure things out, and along the way we've made a lot of mistakes, but we're just trying to figure things out. And I think I tend to see that a lot more from the right, and I think I've also seen a lot more people, more conservative people, apologize when they shouldn't, and I think that's what's making a lot of people on the left or people with no principles think that you're on the right track. But just know that and most of the time it's just because they're I don't know why they apologize. You shouldn't apologize.
So true. Many such cases. Few would admit this.
Yeah. So, just know that it's a process. Learning is a process. Science shouldn't be definite. Knowledge shouldn't be set in stone. There's always room for growth. I think if we can just establish the meaning of words once again, I think that's going to go a long way, because right now we can't even agree on the meaning of words. So if we can't agree on the meaning of words, I don't know how this conversation can continue. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
That's it.
All right, I guess I'll plug my stuff. My Critical Introverts podcast. Be on the lookout. I'm having merch made, so I'll be vending soon. Hopefully by the summer.
Awesome.
I'm also looking to start a music mix show, something completely different from this kind of a format. And I'm also doing the American Gracchus Podcast with Trevor.
It's a premium podcast. You have to subscribe to the website. Please subscribe to the website. Pretty please with the cherry on top. You'd make me the happiest boy in the world. I will be able to speak to the fairy and become a real boy. Whatever Disney references I can make. Yeah.
All right, so be on the lookout for that.
Colonized Disney references I can make.
All right, I'll just be on the lookout for that. I'm kind of thinking, if you guys want to, maybe just do a review episode of What's a Woman, maybe next week, if you guys want to. Because I'm interested in the documentary.
Yeah, we could do it on the website too.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
All right, I guess we'll end it there. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.